Hi, my name's Carl Torspens. I'm a retired deputy warden, and I do my YouTube videos for correctional officers in order to give them the benefit of getting some insight on some sensitive subjects that helps them do their job better, since the scope of being a correctional officer falls under the scrutiny of the public and the administration at all times. Today we're going to talk about the thin line that divides criminal behavior and making a mistake. The difference is very, very vague if you don't know what elements we look at when it comes to rule of law. So today's video will focus on individual responsibility and how the line is determined by the criminal justice system to be whether a criminal act or just a human mistake. Theoretically speaking, this video is going to cover some points that are going to be up for discussion or controversy, but that's what training is all about, to discuss. At what point does a mistake become misconduct? Well, let's look at that. Let's look at the fact that we have a continuum of significance. Remember that word, okay? A continuum of significance. Just like we have a continuum of use of force, we also have a continuum of significance in the decision making when it comes to mistake versus misconduct. Although it's hard to attempt to actually define an act of crime without taking in all the considerations and evidence, it's to our benefit to be a little bit more aware of what are we looking for to determine the difference between the two. Okay, as employed as a correctional officer, you're basically hired to protect the public, other people, and including other staff or co-workers, and of course our taxpayers. Perceived mistakes and misconduct will always be addressed. I use the term Monday morning quarterback quite often because that's basically what it is. After the action's done, after we use force, after we handle a situation, somebody will go by and see if what we did was appropriate, or if there were any criminal acts involved in it. So be prepared for close scrutiny and Monday morning quarterbacking, because that's the nature of the beast. Letting your superiors to examine what you've done is a common practice. But let's look at the 7 concepts of the rule of law. I'm going to say it in a sentence so that it is a continuum of significance and a consistent thought that you need to remember. Okay? The 7 concepts of the rule of law is a legally prescribed human conduct causative of a given harm which coincides with the blameworthy frame of mind for which punishment is provided. Let me read that again. A legally prescribed human conduct causative of a given harm which coincides with the blameworthy frame of mind for which punishment is provided. Now, a lot of words, but basic comes down to is the rule of responsibility. Okay? The entire criminal system operates on the assumption of free will. In other words, what you do and how you do it is based on your own cognizance of your skills, your experience, your decision making. So human behavior is determined by forces, okay, beyond the control of the criminal justice system, but within control, or the span of control, of yourself. So you're going to be held responsible or accountable for what you do and what you say. Remember, words are actions too, so they fall under the rule of law as well. The free will assumption has been called a theoretical undermining of the criminal law. What I mean by that is when people assume that you're doing it under free will, then it may be categorized as a crime rather than misconduct. So it's important that you understand that the theory of free will is a complicated one, and not just assume that just because you did something, it's either a innocent mistake or whether it's a willful deliberate act of a criminal event or crime. Having said that, I think it's important that you understand that while you're employed as a correctional officer, you are liable for everything you say and do on duty and off duty, and your code of ethics, your code of conduct, and all the other policies and procedures that apply to employee standards apply to you in this particular concept that we've talked about today. So whether you go to prison, or whether you do a suspension or verbal reprimand for misconduct or mistake, the difference is how you actually act and how you actually thought about the process that you're being accused of. As always, be safe.